Bionicle Adventures 8 Challenge of the Hordika, written by Greg Farshti, narrated by Amruki, Toa of Fire. Chapter 1. Rudaka, Viceroy of the Vizrak hordes, stood in what had once been Turagaduma's box in the Colosseum. A red Vizrak, Votarak, stood beside her, waiting her commands. Down below, Vizrak scurried to and fro, carrying cocooned Rahi. These would be placed in the webs that lined the arena as trophies of another conquest. Soon, the Toa would be joining them, she knew. The 6 heroes of Metra Nui had combined their powers to trap their foe Makuta in a protodermis prison sealed with the symbol of the 3 Matoran virtues: unity, duty, and destiny. With such a lock, even Makuta could not break free. Only the power of the Toa could undo what they had done. Vakama and his allies made 2 great errors, Rudaka said. The first was thinking Makuta helpless. Though his body is frozen, though his power is stalemated, his mind is free to roam. His thoughts reached out to us, and now Metra Nui is ours. The Votarak nodded agreement enthusiastically. Not agreeing with Rudaka was almost inevitably a fatal mistake. Rudaka smiled as she recalled the Toa's return to Metra Nui. So proud they were, so confident, so convinced that nothing could defeat them. But the venom of the Vizrak changed all that. Now the Toa were Toa Hordika, half hero, half Rahi, forced for the first time to confront the shadows within. They should have fled far from this place, Rudaka reflected. They should have traveled to a star of which even Mata Nui never dreamed. Now there is no hope for them. In a matter of hours, days at most, the hordes will track them down. Rudaka glanced at the Votarak. But why am I telling you this? You are not even a Vizrak, are you? The Votarak hesitated for a moment under Rudaka's piercing glare. Then, with a shrug, the Vizrak transformed into a perfect replica of Toa no Kama. Once again, you are correct. The voice was no Kama's, but the Toa of Water had never worn such an expression of hatred. I am Kraka. I am a Rahi, one of those your hordes have been hunting in this city, and I have come to strike you down like the monster you are. Rudaka's answer was laughter, long and shrill, carrying with it more than a little trace of madness. Kraka circled warily. The shape-shifting Rahi had faced many foes in her life, including the 6 Toa Metru, but this Rudaka was something different. Every move she made was carefully calculated and all part of a grand strategy. There was no wasted motion, no scrambling to react to Kraka's changes of shape. For her part, Rudaka was enjoying this. She could have had Kraka slain immediately, but chose instead to face the Rahi in single battle. The arena floor had been cleared for them. Now the Vizrak watched as their leader prepared to claim another victim. Kraka had abandoned the guise of Nokama in favor of a subterranean creature whose appearance would be enough to drive a sane Matoran mad. She now towered 12 feet high, with a slimy pale white body and 6 long bony spines coming out of her sides. Each spine was extremely flexible and could be cracked like a whip. At the end of the spines were wickedly curved claws that could rip through 6 inches of metal with one swipe. It should have been no contest. The Kraka had strength, height, and reach over Rudaka, and a body designed to make it impossible for any blow to land solidly. But the Vizrak Viceroy slipped away from every one of Kraka's strikes, then struck with her own talons. Worse, Rudaka struck so swiftly and so often that Kraka had no opportunity to shapeshift.
Rudaka slipped through her defenses and landed 2 quick blows, staggering her opponent. Then she launched her Rotuka spinner, whose power could transform Kraka permanently into a figure out of nightmare. At the last split second, the Rahi shifted into a small, burrowing creature and vanished underground. Silence descended on the arena. Some of the Visorak believed Rudaka had won, while others were not so certain. Rudaka herself stood perfectly still, waiting for Kraka's return in a new form. The ground shifted slightly beneath the Visorak Viceroy's feet. Before she could react, the arena floor was crumbling beneath her, and she was falling into the massive,
tooth-filled maw of a Po-Metru troller worm.
Some of the horde charged forward as if to save her, while the rest seemed perfectly happy to see Rudaka devoured. They were destined to be disappointed. Rudaka latched onto the sides of the hole with her claws and pulled herself out right before the huge jaws snapped shut. Once back on solid ground, she paused and listened to the sound of the great worm moving beneath the surface. Moving too quickly for the eye to follow, Rudaka plunged her arm through the ground and seized the Kraka/troller in her claws. With a mighty heave, she pulled the giant worm up through the arena floor. As soon as she realized her predicament, Kraka shifted to a smaller lava eel.
Her now fiery hot hide burnt Rudaka's hand.
Forcing her to release her grip, Kraka slithered away and shifted again, this time taking the form of one of the gigantic Kagarak spiders that guarded the gates of the Colosseum. Then she spat a stream of webbing at Rudaka, binding her to the arena wall. "You cannot defeat me with my own creatures," Rudaka hissed, flexing her muscles. She tore free of the web. "And at that size, you are too big of a target to miss, Rahi." Rudaka launched another spinner. Kraka started to shapeshift, but too late. As the whirling energy struck her, the Rahi's own powers blunted the effects of the mutating force, but it was still enough to send her sprawling in the dust. Now back in the form of Nokama, she struggled to regain her feet. The Visorak Viceroy was upon her before she could rise, a talon held to Kraka's throat. "I could end this now," said Rudaka, "but you have possibilities, creature.
I did not get where I am by wasting potential resources."
Kraka cursed. Rudaka grabbed her by the neck and forced her to look around the arena at the hundreds of Visorak assembled to watch the match. "At a single word from me, even a nod, they would bind you and turn you into something so horrible you would die of fright at your own reflection," said Rudaka. "Or we can come to an arrangement. You decide." Rudaka let the Kraka go. The Rahi got to her feet, still in the shape of the Toa-Metru of water. "What sort of arrangement?" "Not every Rahi need end up in our web, Kraka. Those who are useful will survive intact, even thrive under my rule. You can be one of them. Your particular skills and your past experience with the Toa-Metru, oh yes, I know about that, make you ideal for something I have in mind." Kraka pondered the offer. If she refused, she had no doubt that Rudaka and the Visorak would defeat her, or worse. If she accepted, there might still be some opportunity to get her revenge on Rudaka later on. "All right," said the Rahi. "Very well. What do you want me to do?" Rudaka smiled. "Sidorak and the hordes are hunting for the Toa Hordika. If they catch them, all is well. But just in case they do not, I intend to make sure that the Toa will be unable to oppose me." "How?" Rudaka put an arm around Kraka's shoulder and led her away. "We are going to do the heroes of Metru a favor, you and I. We are going to tell them the truth about themselves." End of Chapter 1.